But good points. Thank you. After the break, several more of the discussions with the candidates, yes, incumbents and challengers. This morning, we're going to turn to Northwest Manchester. It's a constituency that has traditionally voted for the opposition People's National Party. The last time it voted for the JLP was in that historic election of October 30, 1980, when the pharmacist, Stafford Horton, won it for the JLP. Since then, the PNP has been winning Northwest Manchester. It is now represented in the Parliament by the senior PNP politician, spokesman on transport, Mickael Phillips. Mickael Phillips won it in 2020 by winning 53% of the votes, 5,617. He defeated the JLP's Damian Young, who gained 4,885 votes, or approximately 46% of the vote. In the previous election of 2016, it was Phillips again. This time he won it with 50.42% of the votes, to Omar Frith of the JLP, who won 43% of the votes. In 2011, it was Phillips again. A voter turnout of 61%. He won 8,384 votes. That's 56% of the votes. And then he defeated the JLP's Timothy Scarlett, who gained 43% of the votes, with 6,445. In 2007, it was Dean Peart of the PNP, with 53.6% of the votes, 6,481. Timothy Scarlett was also there again for the JLP with 46% of the vote. Okay? So Mickael Phillips is now seeking a fourth term. And he has been averaging 56% of the votes in 2011, 2016. That dipped in 2020 to 53%. The JLP vote in those elections, 43% in 2011, 43% in 2016, and then it inched up to 46% in 2020, where he cut Phillips's majority to just over 700 votes. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Young.
Good morning, Mr. Hughes. Thank you for having me, and good morning to your listeners.
First of all, who are you? Who is Damian Young?
Damian Young goes by the motto, that which your hands find to do, you should do it with your might. I was inspired by that motto from my days at Mickael Teachers College, that whatever your hands find to do, you must do it with your might. And I recreated my personal motto, which is a spin-off from that my work must speak for itself. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm someone who believes that whatever I'm doing, I should put my best foot forward, as old-time people used to say. I am a father of 4 children. I've been married, a businessman by profession currently, as I have left the classroom some years ago. I
couldn't survive on a teacher's salary, eh?
And it's not even that, Cliff. I found I wanted to do more with my life in terms of being more active in community participation and development.
Uh-huh.
I find that going to the same 4 walls of a classroom every day at my alma mater, Spalding Primary, wasn't giving me that kind of reach that I wanted. But I still enjoyed it whilst it lasted.
Mm-hmm. What did you teach?
We taught everything back then when you're in the primary school system. but I was trained to teach science and religious studies at the Mickael.
Oh, religious studies.
Yes,
Oh, interesting.
yes.
So you're a man of
Spent
faith,
time.
are you?
I'm a man of faith.
Yeah.
I recognize that the Most High, who give us all breath, we are to render due benevolence to him. We are to worship him, and I practice and take my faith seriously.
Uh-huh.
Not perfect, but I take my prayers and devotions very, very seriously, as I believe those give me strength for the journey. In fact, I am certain I couldn't have endured 4.5 years on the political hustings, as they say, without a kind of spiritual fortitude, especially when I don't have the resources to do as I would really want to do. It has mostly been by faith in the Most High and working with people who have similar minds to bring about some kind of positivity in
So
a
tell
space
me,
that needed it.
how did you get involved in politics?
So I should tell you that I enjoyed community activism and development. And I worked at a government organization that allowed me to experience that on a great scale, in that I was going to work in development activities in what you call inner city communities across St. Catherine and even in Clarendon. And I was working in bringing normalcy to what were troubled areas. And along the way, I find I really enjoy what I was doing.
Which government agency was this?
And that was the Jamaica Social Investment Fund.
Oh, JSAFE.
I would say JSAFE is a premier government organization with respect to community impact and change.
Uh-huh.
I really salute them for the work they are doing, and I enjoyed my time there. Opened my eyes a lot to how to work in a social setting, work with respect to bringing change to the lives of people, and also to look at creating livelihoods for persons. So I was doing that kind of developmental work. Also worked at some stage with the United Nations. Also worked at a Canadian the program called Caribbean Local Economic Development Project, which was taking me to parts of Canada and across the Caribbean, Trinidad, Lucia, and other areas, looking at local economic development being rolled out, benefiting citizens at the community level. And all of this knowledge and exposure caused me to realize that there is something that I could offer to my country. As a matter of fact, I set about creating my own non-governmental organization called Central Jamaica Social Development Initiative, because having left these agencies or organizations, I wanted to carry on with the work that I was doing in supporting change and improving communities.
So how did you transition into politics? How you got in?
And so whilst doing that kind of work through my NGO, along the way came Mickael, who is a deputy leader with the JLP, who recommended that I supported the Jamaica Labour Party in terms of applying myself to be a candidate. And I'd sent in my application then in 2020, and I was asked to represent the people in Northwest Manchester. That was in 2020. Contested that election then, just 3 weeks into the seat. 3 weeks into the seat, and
you went in 3 weeks before the elections?
3 weeks before the elections, and I almost took it from one. And, an interesting comment came on social media. A man from Portmore said, Mickael Phillips did not beat you. Mickael Phillips escaped you. And I'm really certain that he's not going to be escaping me in this year, 2025. And so, one year, as they called him, has had to contend with seeing me cross the constituency.
What he said they call him?
Wani. They call him Wani because he went to one of the best high schools in the country, as they always say.
He went where?
One of the best high schools, that's Jamaica College, as he said. But he came out with one subject, so they call him Wani.
What do you mean one subject?
He left one subject.
160?
When he spoke at the graduation, yes, in my hearing, and said that, I was expecting him to say which subject it was. I think someone said PE, but I'm not sure what it was. But that's what he said.
What?
Yes, and if his government, God forbid, was to win government in this country, we could very well have people in the Ministry of Transportation who holds their master's degree and doctorate having to say yes, minister, no, minister. A man who didn't push himself beyond one subject. And the fact of the matter is...
No, you're too lie.
No.
You're too lie. I don't believe
Absolutely.
you. I don't believe you. You heard Mickael Phillips saying that he left Jamaica College with one sexy subject?
One subject. He didn't say if it was CXC or GCE, but one subject. And I believe...
I am asking Mr. Phillips to tell me whether that is so or not. You're wicked enough. God.
Well,
Politics.
He said it in front of the children graduating at the Mile Gully Primary School.
Oh.
And he has not been shy about saying it.
Oh.
And I suspect he said to inspire the children that in spite of one subject you can make it. But the fact is...
Oh, I see.
Ordinarily, you will have a huge difficulty in life making it with one subject. His chances are what they are because of who his father has been, and because, as they proverbially say, he was born with a gold spoon in his mouth. And the fact of the matter is, the average child, like I was, had to work really hard, carry water on my head before I go to school, tie out the goats before I go to school, and walk to school, and make sure that I applied myself to learning at Knox College where I went, and come out and went on to a teacher's college or any other college, and in my case to Mickael, and then onwards to the University of the West Indies. And I had to apply myself and even finance my way to tertiary education. Well, God bless my mother who sent me to Mickael, and then I financed my way to University of the West Indies.
What did you study at UWI?
Repeat?
What did you study at UWI?
I studied public sector management. And I'm making the point that an ordinary child wouldn't have been able to brag about achieving anything with one subject, because life is not a bed of roses for an ordinary person.
Yeah.
And I want to say that as I look across the constituency, the kind of leadership or lack of that he has brought to bear on the people is really reflective of his unwillingness or hesitation in pushing himself so he can expand his range of skills and ideas to better serve the people. Serving 29, 30,000 or 30,000 people require that you prepare yourself, that you have something to offer to the people. And that is why when I look across the constituency and see the kind of infrastructural neglect, the community centers all locked up and wasp taking over most of them. No furniture or running water in them. The Mile Gully Community Center, for example, has no running water, has no proper bathroom. The town itself of Mile Gully, after PNP leadership for over 40 years, has no running water still in that town. The high school, which is the only high school in the constituency, still has no running water. The health center, the primary school.
Hold on. Which is the high school? Which is the high school?
That's the Mile Gully High School.
It has no running water?
Has no piped water. They have to harvest water to supply the bathrooms and so forth.
So where's the Ministry of Education? Where's the Ministry of Education in this?
But the fact of the matter is the Ministry of Education has plans to construct a new high school. Understand that the lands have been identified already for that. And that is something that the ministry is pushing. But I also believe that your local representative should not absent him or herself from advancing and advocating for development for any particular space. In fact, the constituency overall...
Hold on for me, sir. Can't disturb about this.
Hold
on. How many students go to Mile Gully?
A little over 500.
And the school doesn't have a piped water?
School doesn't have water being supplied by NWC, by a main, as they say.
No.
And so...
This is not only about the lack of representation of Mr. Phillips. It is also about the leadership of the Ministry of Education.
And whilst the ministry, to the best of my understanding, has been active in obtaining and identifying land space for a new school, it is still incumbent on a political representative to vociferously drive the mission for betterment.
Yeah.
2/3 of that constituency has no running water up to today. And the other 1/3 that suffers from the lack of water, that has a little water, is inconsistent. And I'm saying, good thing that the government is actively working to bring water up the hill from Pepper to supply Greater Mandeville, and certainly parts of the constituency of Northeast Manchester will benefit tremendously from that. But I still hold accountable those who are elected to serve, that they should let not just their voices be heard, but they should indeed be actively lobbying and seeking relief for the people that they are serving. As a matter of fact...
Hold on, sir. We need to ask the Ministry of Education, the principal, how old is Mile Gully High School, sir?
Sorry?
How old is the school? How long has it been in operation?
I'm not exactly sure when it was constructed, but it has been there for quite a while now.
And it's a damn disgrace to all of us. Not only the MP, the Ministry of Education, you have a school with 500 students without piped water. So how they get on with the business of education there?
No, they will harvest water, and the school purchase water from contractors, from suppliers. They have tanks there that harvest water. So it's not that they have no water there. But I'm saying a reliable main supplying the school is necessary in these modern days. All right, and the health center itself, which I have a vision to transform into a Type C hospital, also needs running water, and they have to be harvesting or purchasing water. Likewise, all the other schools across the constituency having to harvest water. Sometimes they call some of them will call and ask that water be trucked to their institution. So they suffer. The people really, really suffer in that space. And, water is something that
it's a problem. Water is a problem
basic survival.
in the parish of Manchester. I know the problems in central Manchester. Where exactly what are the major towns, districts in northwest Manchester? I know of Mile Gully. Where else?
So Mile Gully, you have Comfort Hall as a small town. You have the Lincoln area, the Hatfield area, the Greenville area. And so these are really large community spaces, not quite town. In fact, Mile Gully is the major town in the constituency. Of course, a section of Mandeville straddles the constituency, but Mile Gully is really the administrative town for Northwest Manchester.
Oh. Wow. So what is the plan you have to fix the problem of water?
Well, we have been looking at the issue for quite some time, and our intention is to work very closely with Minister Samuda, the Ministry of Water, to look at how we can harvest water from the noisy river. We actually have a river running through the constituency. It comes from the limestone hills over in Trelawney, what they call the section of the cockpit country. Beautiful stream of water running through the constituency, untapped. And we have intentions to harvest that water, some of that water, have it treated and piped to the communities across the constituency. We also have wells that both Jamaica as well as private citizens have on their lands that can also be tapped into. In fact, nearby us at Content, there is a location that water is at. There are individuals who purchase water from that area because there are wells there. And we can also have water harvested and piped from that location to supply areas like Kendall and New Green. But primarily, we see an unending source of water at Noise River. And if they can harvest water from the Rye Corbry out in St. Catherine and supply parts of the urban area, why is it that we cannot have water harvested from the Noise River? So we have been looking at the feasibility of that and certainly to tap into the wells that are around the place. In fact, someone sent me a document, I think just last week. I believe a friend of mine, Swaby from Mile Gully, that the town of Mile Gully sits on a water table. So there is water adjacent to the town, under the town. And when I say adjacent, I'm talking a few miles past the town, go to Comfort Hall and go further at Noise River, which is in a community called Oxford. They use that river socially as well because people hang out there and have great times there, relaxing, but more can be done. And when I say relaxing, it's an area that can be developed into a local economic initiative, sections of it at least, where what they're currently doing now can be enhanced. In fact, I believe it was the MP who did erect a changing room and a bathroom there some years ago. They didn't even take the time to seek the permission from the forestry department that owns the area or supervises the area. But they went and construct the gazebos and changing rooms there. Because I sought and researched that with the forestry department and realized they obtained no permission. But anyways, the facility was benefiting the citizens It was burnt down. It was gutted by fire recently. And no move has been made to restore it. And as someone who has seen how local resources can be harnessed and transformed into initiative that can empower and provide employment to people, I intend to fix up back that area and create a natural, nice park there that people can hang out on and relax. There are lands adjacent to the river that can be utilized for that. And certainly, once the gazebos and the changing rooms and the shops that were constructed there are rebuilt, it can be an area that persons can come and relax. Apart from that, another plan I have for the constituency is to construct a food processing plant adjacent to the town of Mickael at an area called Grove Space. A massive piece of land, practically little or no farming taking place there. I say little because someone raises a few heads of cattle out there, but I think it's nearly 800 acres of land out there, and even a section of that can be utilized for factory space for the processing of potatoes, which is the plan that we have, into potato flour, potato wedges, and potato chips, so that we can have young people.
Or you're going to mobilize
there.
Where are you going to get the investment capital to do that?
Well, I'm certain we can tap into not just government, but donor agencies, Digital Foundation, or even the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, or overseas. We can look at practical partners, organizations that can fund entities like this. You know, when I was working elsewhere, there was a bulla factory in Maypen. They used to produce jackass corn and stuff like that there. It is in operation still, but for a while it was closed down. And the owner approached the organization I was working at the time and asked us for help because the health department closed them down because the walls were shaky. The mesh that they had were rusting. It was really in a bad condition. And I remember assisting the process to write a project to the Digital Foundation to have that small factory rehabilitated. And
well, let me ask you, we're running out of time, and I want to ask you a couple more questions. Tell me, politically, yes, part of the feedback I'm getting is that you stuck with the constituency after losing in 2020. You didn't leave it. And
that is
people appreciate that you stuck with it. Yes?
Yes.
But I hear that your organization is in need of help, that you don't have a very good organization on the ground to make sure you deliver whatever votes you can in the ballot box on election day. How is the organization?
We have persons working with our team. We have persons who have come on board. I believe the party has seen the need for our organization to be strengthened, and we have been working on that very assiduously. We will have a very strong organization in place because we are going to be victorious in that seat. The people need us to be. And I'm answering you to say that the organizational glitches and issues that we have now, we are working actively on those, and we are fixing them as the days go by. Persons are coming on board who have organizational skills and political foresight, and it's something that we have been tweaking and working on day by day. Other political works we have been doing. And I also want to say a quick word about the additional works that we have been doing. We have trained nearly 2,000 young people in that space, trained them in hospitality services, butchering, beekeeping, commercial food prep, and a number of areas.
Where have they been trained?
Some have been trained online, for example, with the entrepreneurs, so they can start up business for themselves and acquire funding to invest in their business. Have been trained online, but then others have been trained for example, at the hotel for the housekeepers, the persons in the hospitality industry. One of the things that I've done is to network and partner with the business community across Mandeville to have our young people trained, and then to also find employment from some of the very same business leaders across the capital to have young people trained. I have sought employment for over 300 young people across that space over a period of time. I think that is the reason they call me the job boss in that area. Every day I am looking jobs for young people in this constituency because I believe our young people should be empowered, upskilled, and should have something. I have sent persons overseas to work. I have sought employment overseas through private arrangements, okay? And persons have applied under my guidance to even the Ministry of Labour to seek employment overseas in the hotel sector and elsewhere. The fact of the matter is, the young people, as I came across them, have cried out for intervention. Some are single parents, and they need work, and they are not contented to sit home and do nothing. And I have found ways and means to provide them with the training in partnership with government agencies like Harchus, as I said, and also persons in the private sector, so that they can get the necessary skills to move upwards with their lives.
I see. Okay, Mr. Damian Young, the prospective candidate for the Labour Party in Northwest Manchester against Mickael Phillips. Yeah, we'll be watching the seat on election night, sir. It's going to be an interesting one. Yeah.
Do I have one last point I can make?
Sure.
Just to say that recently my opponent was on a political platform bragging about 31 things that he achieved in his nearly 15 years in the constituency. And when I check that out, that's like roughly 2 achievements per year. And some of what he claimed are his achievements were actually projects that were in the pipeline or projects that are mandated by government, such as the roadworks on the Spark and the one community center or health center in Comfort Hall that he claims paternity for. It's a government initiative, but his supervision of it has been nothing less than poor, because I hear that facility is leaking right now in its incomplete state, and that has been under construction for since 2017. My intention is to really provide the citizens of this constituency with a visionary leadership, with a leadership grounded in people support and service.
How is the school bus system there for students in Northwest Manchester? How do they fare?
The school bus system is embraced. The school bus system is something that the people are looking forward to. You see, the days where young people were lapping up in cars and listening to these loud and lewd music are going to be something of the past. If I commend the government for nothing else, such as the massive reduction in major crimes, if I don't commend them for that, and if I don't commend them for their stewardship of the economy, I have to commend them for this vision to bring school bus to rural Jamaica. Many times, people in the rural parts feel uncomfortable with so much development taking place in the urban zones, and the rural areas feeling shafted or left out of the great loop of development. I think this administration is right in a lot of that. I believe this school bus system is a great intervention so that our young people can begin to be commuted to school safer, so that when they reach school, they are not sweaty, and they're not tired, exhausted. And so Mandeville, Manchester overall is looking forward to the rollout of the school bus system here. I heard my opponent criticizing the school bus system recently, and I believe the people are really surprised and distressed by his utterances, because they know that he, living in Kingston, where certain services are available, and speaking against a service that they should get in their community or constituency doesn't seem to be serving the cause and the interests of the people, and is purely either political or lacking of vision. And I believe the people are not going to be taking that lightly when they go to the polls. In fact, I believe the people of Northwest Manchester are very, very frustrated with his leadership. I see him do a road up a place named Epping Forest. And when he patched that road, he made it worse than how he went and saw it. And I'm telling you, seriously, the following day or two, some rains fell, and everything just washed off. And a lady did a video and showed us, and she almost fell in a hole and she was walking down that hill whilst doing the video. The fact of the matter is, I believe the current leadership that the people have here are shafting them, are underserving them and underperforming. And they, the people, realize that they are being left out of the loop of prosperity in our country and are demanding more. And rightly so. Because as a citizen myself, I don't want to feel like the community that I'm living in, we can't get good roads, we can't get water, we can't get school bus. We want to be included and involved in development. And I believe the young people in particular, who are not so die-hearted, are going to be giving him the wake-up call of his life. And not just him, but the entire PNP machinery, which has to come to the realization that choosing Jamaica is really choosing the Jamaica Labour Party. Because with all of the good things happening in the country, crime reduction and the economic growth, the urban center in St. Thomas, and everything else, in no way, shape, or form should Jamaica go backwards. Jamaica should go forward. And the people want to, I was talking to some young people in my office 2 weeks ago, and the young men them said to me, no man, we couldn't see Jamaica go on so good across the country overall. And we don't vote JLP. Why wouldn't we have that ambition to want to see our country continuing on that trajectory?
And will they go to the polls? Will they actually turn up on the day?
I'm certain they will. Some of them are working with me already in one way, shape, or form, assisting me with canvassing and walking with me across the constituency, speaking at meetings with me.
You're going into the next election with a deficit of 732 votes, yes? Where are you going to find those votes to overcome that? Have you found them?
We have found them already. With utter confidence, yet humility, I know we have found them already. We have found them because we have actively trained and engaged them. We have found them because we have sought employment for them. We have found them because we have looked housing assistance for many of them. We have found them because we have given scholarships to many of their children and to young people who are now able to vote. We have offered over 50 scholarships across that constituency. One, he has not offered one scholarship. He might say he has provided some khaki and back to school, this or that. But a scholarship allow a young person to study at a tertiary institution without having to worry about where the next school fee coming from. And I want to really appeal to the people who vote PNP in the last election. Don't let your constituency be held back by tradition. Don't let your constituency or your community be held back because Papa used to do it and Mommy used to do it. Look out for what is in the best interest of your country.
Yes.
For what is in the best interest of your constituency.
All right,
Jamaica.
Mr. Young. All right, Mr. Young.
You're finished with me so quick?
You have been going on for the last 40 minutes.
Just remember that there's a lot I haven't told you in terms of the farmers we have assisted, the greenhouse, the pools that we have provided. But another time we can talk about that.
Yes, or you can buy advertising.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Damian Young. Yes, he's up against Mickael Phillips in Northwest Manchester.